Hello, this is Older and Bolder with Larley. Yes, we're getting older, but we want to get the most out of life as we age. I want to share on the topic today of selecting a home health care agency. The reason I believe this is an important topic is because individuals, our loved ones, maybe friends, family, perhaps they're having surgery or having medical conditions which require a person to come into your home to provide that care. I know from personal experience, I know what it's like to have a loved one in a nursing home, and I can talk about that care. Today, I want to just share on what you should consider or what you may want to think about when you have to bring a person into your home to provide care for a loved one. In my situation, my husband has a medical condition that requires us to have a person come in to provide care. It's nice to have someone come into the home to provide a particular type of care. Now, along with my husband's medical situation, the insurance company, because my husband's on a private insurance plan, he'll be 65 in October, but for now, we're paying out of pocket for a home health care agency, and it costs, it's expensive. We also have a nurse that comes in, physical therapist, occupational therapist from another agency, but the insurance plan, of course, we're paying a premium monthly for this insurance plan, but they allow us to have so many visits for physical therapy, occupational, and the nurse, and they cover that at 100%. So I'm just concentrating on sharing with you how to pick a home healthcare agency when you need assistance in the home. And let me start off by saying, in our situation, I needed someone to come in for a number of hours, not 24-hour care. 4 hours is good. The person comes in and performs certain responsibilities. Before you select a home healthcare agency, think about what you need the person to do. You may need someone just to provide companionship, or you may need someone that can assist with what they call ADLs, or activities of daily living, which would be toileting, grooming, hygiene, perhaps making light meals. And that's the assistance I wanted to have for my husband. I have some notes here, and I want to just at times read from the notes. I've only used one agency since March for my husband. I did call a couple of other agencies. One of them never got back to me, so that wasn't a good choice. And the other one I was not that comfortable with over the phone, so I've stuck with this one agency, and it is working well. When you're thinking about an agency, think about what you need for services. So in other words, I'm just gonna read from my notes. There's companionship services, and there's also personal care services. We needed the personal care services. When you think about companionship services, it would be, and this came from a website, it would be a person that you would hire to have conversations with your loved one. They could take them on errands, take them shopping, take them to medical appointments. They could cook, they could clean, they could do laundry for them, watch TV, listen to music together. Companionship. Is that something that you need for your loved one? The other job description would be for personal care attendant. This would be someone that performs, helps with personal hygiene for the loved one, coordinates personal care, helps them with their mobility, bathing, eating, dressing, grooming, toileting, things like that. More what I would consider more hands-on for the loved one. So in our case with my husband, I needed a personal care attendant or a home health aide. So that's what I'm gonna concentrate on in this particular video. Remember, when you select an agency, or maybe the insurance company dictates the agency, there are still some things you need to know and that you need to be aware of. I want to share what I have learned in this journey. What to look for before you select a home health care agency. Now, you haven't even selected the person yet, but the agency which is going to furnish or supply that person that you're going to hire. Number one, check out the agency. What do I mean by that? Give them a call. Ask them questions. Ask them, do they have home health care aides? Do they have personal care aides? Companionship? Get an idea of what they have in terms of who you would be hiring. Are they available by email? Ask them, do you communicate? Is it always on the phone? Is it via email? Call them. Give them a call. See if they call you back. See how accessible they are by phone. Before I selected the agency that we have, the intake person met with us personally. She came to the rehab facility and she met with myself and my husband. So in other words, is there a main contact or intake person? Ask them, do they have a website? Which is always good, so you can kind of on your own do your research and kind of get an idea of what they have. But keep in mind, sometimes you'll see these beautiful websites, but there's really not the support behind it. Look at the website, get an idea of job titles, but most importantly, job description. Make sure you understand the description of the responsibilities that person should be doing should you hire the agency and they send a person. Number 2, decide what you need for care. Think about it. Do you have a loved one? Perhaps they sprained their ankle and they're recovering at home. So would you need companionship, or do you need someone to be able to care for that person, help them with their toileting, help them with getting dressed, help them with preparing light meals? Really keep in mind what you need for services. Don't get hung up on job title, but really understand the description of that particular job. What are those responsibilities? Make sure you read the duties, and if it's not on the website, you can ask the agency, could you email me a copy of home health care aid? What is that responsibilities, or if it's a companionship that you need. Number 3, meet with the person from the agency. If you're getting a good feel for that agency, you can say to the person, or better yet, they may even say to you, well, I'd like to meet you and your loved one. I'd like to meet you and your mother, your sister, whoever it is that need your husband, child, whoever needs the care. Meet with them in person. Now, I'll say from our experience, before we hired the agency, we met with the intake person. She was, I believe she was more the supervisor. She came to the facility. She came with a checklist. We talked for a little bit, pleasantries, and then she went down her checklist. She asked questions in terms of, and got an understanding of what my husband would need after he was discharged from the rehab facility. Also, as the person is checking off what is needed by your loved one, make sure you get a copy of that before you hire the agency. Reason being is they will send someone, let's say to your home, to do the work, but that person may say, remember, I'm speaking from experience, that person may say, oh no, we can't do that. We don't do that for the clients. Oh no, we're not responsible for doing that. Make sure you know what the responsibilities are and get that in writing. Again, you could say to that particular intake person, who will be your contact? If you have a scheduling concern, or you need to, perhaps a holiday is coming up and you all are going away and you don't need an aide that day, get a sense of when you call the office, are you talking to the scheduler? Are you talking to the intake person? Get an idea of who is who in that organization. Number 4, do not sign any paperwork until you read it first. And again, if you're not comfortable reading the paperwork, get a trusted friend to help you go over it. I know for myself, many times I have helped and still do my friends read through paperwork. And many times I have run things by my friends to kind of, 2 heads are better than one. So make sure you read the paperwork first. Do not be intimidated to sign anything until you understand it. They should give you a contract prior to you even making a decision about you wanting to use them. When you're looking at that paperwork, have an understanding of what you are paying. What is the hourly rate for the person? Also understand what is the rate if there's a holiday. That's something that you need to know, because I know the agency we work with, if it's a holiday, Memorial Day, 4th of July, the individuals get paid time and a half. You have to decide, Is that worth it to you? Also understand their billing. Do they bill electronically? Do they bill weekly? The agency we work with, we had to give them a certain amount of money. It was like equal to 2 weeks of a person's pay, or the fee we were going to pay that person. We had to give that to the agency as sort of a deposit, and they have that currently. Keep good track of your paperwork. You see the contract, you understand the responsibilities. This is even before you sign. Make sure you keep good track of the paperwork. And if they're asking you to give them a deposit, for us, I did it in a cashier's check, and I keep it in the folder with the other paperwork so I don't forget to get my money back when we're done with their services. You want to know when you're looking at that paperwork, are you going to have a permanent caretaker, or will they be sending someone different every week? For us, I like a permanent person, 4 hours a day, 7 days a week. Reason being is I don't have to repeat myself if somebody new comes. So we currently have a really good home health care aide. We really appreciate him, and he is doing a fantastic job with my husband. So think about it. If there's holidays, do you have to have that aide come on the holiday? What if you go on vacation 3 or 4 days? Are you able to tell the agency we don't need anyone those days, or will they still charge you? So really get an understanding of what you are paying for and how you are paying. Something else keep in mind from experience, make sure if, let's say the caretaker says to you, oh, I'm not going to be here Wednesday, but I have a friend that can come. No, make sure you're always in touch with the agency, and they should let you know, hey, Larly, your caretaker's not going to be there Wednesday. We could send someone else. And I usually say to them, that's okay, but it's been rare, especially since we've had this permanent one. What I don't let them do is send a female. I just feel more comfortable with my husband having a male. What happens if there's an emergency and the caretaker can't make it? Does the agency contact you? Are they the first sign of contact? You want to know how you're going to interact with the agency. Just keep that in mind. Whether you're paying out of pocket or the insurance is paying, you still need to make sure the person is there to take care of your family member, your loved one, whoever that person is. You want to make sure the person is there. So that was number 4. Do not sign any paperwork. Make sure that you read it. Number 5, ask questions after reading the paperwork. Especially know what you need to do to terminate the contract. Very important. Do you have to give 2 weeks notice? Do you still have to pay? What if you suddenly are moving, like you're taking your loved one, we're moving to Florida. How does that impact how you pay the agency? Make sure you know. When you're reading that paperwork, understand what you have to supply. What do I mean by that? They should give you a list to say you must supply gloves, masks, food, bed sheets, bed pads, depends. Get a sense of what you have to supply. And the reason I stress that is from experience. You may have a home health aide that says, oh, I need to have X, or I need to have an apron. Well, you look at your list and you make the decision. If it's not on the list, you don't have to supply it. You may decide to supply what's not on the list because it is your loved one. But make sure you know as the client what you are responsible for supplying for the individual, the home health aide, to carry on their work. If anything is amiss, or you feel in your gut that things are not shaping up or what they should be, call the agency. Let them know, because this is your loved one you are talking about. Make sure you have a comfort level for this person, this stranger that's coming into your house. So those are the 5 really key points I wanted to mention. Let me just review. Number 1, check out the agency website, give them a phone call, or maybe there's other people that you know that have used this agency. Check them out, see what they are about, see what they offer, see what the job descriptions are. See if they get back to you. Do they communicate via email, or is it all phone? Number 2, decide what you need for care for your loved one, or maybe it's for you. Decide what you need. Do you need a person for companionship, or do you need a person that is going to help you with the activities of daily living, toileting, brushing your teeth, the grooming, the hygiene, making light meals? So decide the type of care you need in your home. Number 3, meet with, if you're able to, and if the agency is local, meet with the intake person. Because what you want them to do is understand what you or that loved one needs for care. And if there's a checklist they go by, make sure you get a copy of that checklist and that you keep it, so when the person comes into your home to do the work, there's an understanding of what that person should be doing, and they won't tell you that I don't do that, or that's not my responsibility. So make sure you know you have an agreement in writing of what that person is to do. Number 4, do not sign any paperwork before you read it, and don't feel intimidated. Read it over, get a friend to help you read it over, and really understand what you're going to be held to, especially in terms of permanent person, or do you want a different aid every day? Just really get an understanding of what you're signing up for. I want to wrap up this video by saying, remember, you are inviting a stranger into your home. They may not end up being a stranger, because many times the caregiver ends up being part of the family, since they're spending so much time with you or the person that needs the care. But again, when you start off, these individuals are strangers. Just some advice: put away your personal belongings. And what I mean by that, like your mail. If you have mail laying around, or if you have information with social security numbers or date of birth, put that information away. What I have done, I have labeled many of the items in my home to make it easier for the caretaker. Everything that they need is accessible. I have a laundry basket for the dirty linen. I have the trash can that's right there. I have a little cart that rolls with different supplies on it. I have my husband's clothes right there. I make sure that I take care of the laundry pretty much every night, so when the caretaker comes, he can just get right to work. What I like to do is make sure everything, the dishes are done, the kitchen is clean, even in my refrigerator, the food is labeled, and the caretaker, all he has to do is just warm up whatever my husband has asked for. So I make sure that everything is accessible and that there's no time wasted, or that the caretaker doesn't need me to explain everything. So kind of get your area in order prior to having the caretaker come in the home. If you need to, now, I talk with a lot of different people who have had caretakers in their home. If you feel uncomfortable, or if you feel something is off, it probably is. So feel free to put cameras in your home. Just be aware of the privacy of the loved one. So you may decide to perhaps have a camera, but turn off the video portion, and maybe you just have on the audio portion. Or you may want to have a recorder in your home. This is our loved ones. And as for me, I had an inkling about a caretaker a while ago, but that caretaker is no longer in our home. So I'm saying to you, if you have a gut feeling, it's probably true. So just keep your eyes open. Just be aware of things. Because again, if you have a loved one, or maybe it's you where you're not able to really verbalize things, it's up to us, I think, to protect our loved ones that are being cared for. One other thing, I learned this from one of my friends that has used caretakers in her home. Don't put out all the supplies. You may say, well, I don't think people steal. How about during COVID when they were giving out masks? I used to work in a hospital. People would take 3 and 4 masks because the hospital was supplying them. I say to you, just put out what you need, perhaps for the week. I usually get what we need at Costco. So you already know Costco, everything is in large quantities. So I'll put out, gloves enough for a couple of weeks. I'll put out various things that are needed, but I don't put out everything. I don't have a concern about the current caretaker that we have, but it's just something that I put into practice. Don't feel like you have to put out everything. If you want to put out 20 pair of gloves that'll last, a week, that's good. If you want to put out, masks if it's required. So just because supplies are expensive. We may see a box that has 200 gloves and think, that's good, and we may not be as conservative. We want to make sure the individuals that are coming into our homes are being conservative and efficient with the supplies that we have made available. I believe those are some of the important points regarding considering an agency, and once you do decide before signing that you may use that agency, just thinking about what type of person you need to hire. So again, this is Larly with Older and Bolder with Larly. Yes, we're getting older, but we want to get the most out of life as we age.